Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be going through my December update for my amateur investing, where we go through all of my stock buys for growth stocks, speculative, looking at my dividend earnings, same thing for crypto, looking at my passive income, my speculative accounts, my normal main growth account. I've sort of broken things out a little bit more into different categories to make it a little more easy to follow along. A lot of things have been going very crazy over the past little while. My portfolio is way down, unfortunately, but the reality is that crypto is volatile, and you've got to expect this kind of stuff. We know that ETH 2.0 is coming out very, very soon, so kind of got to wait to see how things play and how the market reacts to that, and how much ETH 2.0 really delivers on the promises that they've been promising. So lots to get into. We're going to be diving into all that in just a moment after a word from my sponsor. A big thank you and shout out to my sponsor, Cake Wallet, which is an open source, non-custodial Bitcoin and Monero wallet that also has a built-in exchange. It's available on iOS and Android. All right, thanks again. Now let's jump right into it. So this is my my dividend sheet where I track all my dividends as always. And last month was a record-setting month, earning me almost $50 more than my previous record month. So really, really great to see. This helps continue the trend line of how my dividends have been playing out. I did do some rebalancing, and I'm really happy with where the account is now. We will look in a little bit at the individual shifts I made and how I'm sort of going forward. I'm going to be much more focused on some general ETFs and doing less individual stock picking. But I do feel pretty good with my portfolio of how I've shrunk it down to much less than what I used to have back in the day. You want to have a reasonable, manageable amount of assets so that you're not running around trying to keep up with everything, essentially. But we'll dive into all that in a bit. In terms of crypto income, fairly similar to the previous month, but again, I've been moving a lot of things around, so I'm certain that when I report January's, it's going to be way higher. So that's going to be very, very good to see. I did do some testing in January as well. I don't know if I should get into that in this episode or the next episode. I guess we can get into this episode because in the January update, I'll be talking more about all the earnings increases, but essentially, I was testing out a few different things. I was testing out earning Tron on Ledger and staking it there versus just using Tron Link. I tested a bunch of different places for earning crypto. That's kind of been my main focus right now. Testing out Anchor for UST, realizing that it's custodial and you actually have to non-custodial, and you have to actually put your money and deposit it onto their platform. So that 19% doesn't sound so great now that you realize that you have to deposit your funds, and it's the same issue as using any lender or any exchange. You don't want to leave your funds there, but we will get into all of that. So I expect this to greatly increase over the next month, which will be nice to see. I haven't gotten any other royalty payments or anything like that. Unfortunately for me, crypto has just been really tanking. This will end up clocking in at somewhere around 177,000, which is negative 27% from the beginning of last month. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of crypto, and it is what it is. I'll be equally, saying the same thing, that like this is how it is in 2-3 months. If this is worth $1 million because, ETH and everything just skyrockets with ETH 2.0, who knows? This is the space. You just have to invest in things with really good use cases and avoid all the craziness, which is the majority of projects out there are fluff. In terms of my stock investments, this is always just steadily increasing, which is fantastic. Currently, this is at 41,000, so going to see a very nice increase month over month, which is great. I'm just going to be focusing on building this up and maxing out my TSFA, which is currently about half maxed out. So for the next several months, I will just be putting in the maximum amount of contributions that I can make to my TFSA and just building out my stock portfolio while I very closely watch how crypto is playing out and hope that it just keeps trending back up and going into the positive. It seems like we've hit the bottom and now we are going back up. But you know, I won't speak too soon, so to speak. And I ended the year spending $46,000. It was over my budget, but this year I hope to cut down my budget at least $11,000. I bought a lot of really important upgrades last year for my business. Luckily, almost all of that is tax deductible, so that's fantastic, including this camera, a bunch of things for the PC, lots and lots of really useful upgrades. So I won't need anything like that this year, and as such, I should be spending significantly less. I'm also going to be more consciously kind of pulling back on certain areas, and you know, I've finished paying my student loans. Lots and lots of good stuff going forward investing wise. But let's take a look at the actual individual, you know, adjustments that I've made and look at the overall total account. This is the breakout as to how my wealth breaks out. And yeah, I mean, it's still majority in crypto. But there's a couple new categories. I've broken it out into having digital cash alternatives, passive crypto, privacy crypto, speculative crypto, and then my normal growth crypto, which is like just Bitcoin and Ethereum essentially. So as you can see here, let me make this so you can actually see the percentages. So I've got 58% in ETH and 42% in Bitcoin. I feel pretty good about this. This wasn't like planned. This is more so just, I originally had 60-40 Bitcoin and we've seen a flippening. And I'm okay with this. I'm just going to leave this and I'm waiting on ETH to do its thing, so to speak. I've sold an out of Terra because it's just not that great. People are kind of overhyping it. When I was staking it, the gas fees made it not really that ideal to actually be cashing out and claiming your rewards, so you can't really compound very often. You're going to be wasting a lot on those fees. Even when I got UST and started staking on Anchor, I realized that wasn't really that great because you had to actually deposit your funds and leave them there. So to me, all the different various benefits that Terra was offering me were all, you know, subprime. And they weren't really that great, and I could find better things on other chains. I'm investing more in Rune, mainly with just new funds coming in. I'm not moving anything around. Well, I sold my Luna for Rune, but going forward, I'm just going to be slowly topping it up as like my main focus for social media earnings that I convert out. Rune is a very, very interesting platform. It allows for cross-chain swaps, essentially, through ThorSwap. Very, very interesting. I will have to do a full episode on it in the future. But I'm fairly bullish on this as a speculative cryptocurrency. Matic, I'm also pretty bullish on. Not as bullish as Rune, but it's a little bit more established, so I put a little bit more in there as well. I will slowly build this up as well, but with more of a focus on Rune. My speculative crypto, I don't really like putting much into it, so I just take income that I get from social media platforms and just convert that into these going forward, essentially. I've decided to have a separate section for digital cash because I had these in my growth portfolio, and occasionally people would say stuff like they would say like, oh, like those aren't really growth cryptocurrencies. Those are really just for, you know, like spending. And if you look at their value, like Dash has gone down immensely. It's true, but I still believe that Dash is the most effective cryptocurrency as a cash alternative. I don't know why I have BNB here. I will move that back to speculative, because BNB is not a digital cash alternative, and I wouldn't consider it a part of my main growth portfolio. I would just consider it a speculative cryptocurrency. So I'll move that after this. For passive income, This is continuing to build very nicely. We will look at the actual individual amounts in a little bit. But Tron, Atom, and Hive are the big leaders here. While the other ones are still doing their thing, it's more so me just leaving my blurt on there and being too lazy to go down and actually power down and take it all out. However, ironically, I am doing that now. I've decided that the stability and consistency of Hive is better worth my time and money. So I'm going to be powering down the majority of my blurt and just putting it into that. Now, let's look at the individual purchases here. So I'm starting to align my stocks a little differently. I've set a new goal for 10% insurance, 10% utilities, 20% banking, and 20% real estate. These are all fairly close aside from insurance, but more or less, I'm just really beefing up the general investing ETFs. I just want to focus a little more generally and not be so worried about individual stock picks. Again, I've really shrunk down my portfolio though, which is really good. This is what you want to have. But it's doing very, very, very well. I'm over 16% in gains, which is fantastic. And my total portfolio is over $41,000. This is very, very good. I'm going to just continue along with this strategy of topping this up and maxing out my TFSA. And then eventually, once my TFSA is maxed out, I will start looking at new strategies and relooking and reassessing my strategy. Am I going to jump back into crypto? Will Ethereum have already popped off and I make millions of dollars before I max out my TFSA and then I can just kind of do my thing? We'll see. But I'm very, very confident that crypto is going to pop off. And I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait through it. We run in 4-year cycles. If you don't catch one cycle, you catch the next cycle. I'm very confident in that. So yeah, I mainly just topped up one of my general investing accounts. I also took some of my extra funds on one of my accounts and I bought some more real estate REITs for Northview. And then lastly, I just topped up my investment dividend portfolio. The thing that I've been trying to do over the past little while is create a bunch of contingency accounts. So I've been building up a side bank account. I'm building up a side investing account. I've got 2 investment accounts already. I now have a prepaid Visa card. I have gold. I have $10,000 worth of digital crypto cash alternatives. I have a bunch of cash and a bunch of money in the bank. I'm prepared for whatever is to come. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm not going to leave it up to guess or to chance or anything like that. I'm very of the mind that you should be preparing for contingencies and having like emergency funds and all these kinds of things. I've also been building up my emergency supplies. Anything that you can do to better prepare for your future is going to solidify you in your present to be able to invest more. I'm much more confident in my investing, knowing that if there's an emergency of any possible kind that I can come up with, that it's already been pre-dealt with and prepared for. Most people don't have any of these contingency plans. And because of that, they're much less confident investing their money, because if they need money, they have to sell their assets at a loss or, maybe at a gain, but either way, they have to sell out of their assets and liquidate their assets to be able to cover an emergency or whatever it happens to be. I can't remember what the percentage is, but a great amount of Americans could not afford a $1,000 expense. I believe it was more than 50%, if I remember correctly. But that is a lot. And the very first thing you should do is build up all of your contingencies, and then you can start investing. And you'll have way more confidence in investing because, again, you're not like, this isn't your food money that you need to pay or your rent money that you need to pay for in a month. it's money that is just going to be building up your future over time. So you're not so concerned about where that money is going or your access to it or how easily you can liquidate, all that kind of stuff. Very, very important to keep that in mind. And I go way overboard. I have like 10 different contingencies, but the reality is that people get their bank accounts closed, your PayPal shut down, all these different things can happen. We've seen it happen. It's been happening. So you might as well just be prepared in the same way that I do anything. I have 45 social media platforms, so if I get banned on one, it really doesn't make a difference. This is the approach I've taken with everything. This is my cybersecurity mindset coming into play and having backups and all these different kind of contingency plans. I went to school for networking and IT security, and that was something that was heavily ingrained in me, that security, integrity, confidentiality, all the key aspects of securing something was one of the most important things that I took away from all that experience. And even though I could have done a lot more with that career and those skills and that knowledge, the very least that you can do with that is to better protect yourself online, which is where you are the most vulnerable. But even the basics, right? We learned lockpicking and stuff like that. You need to put your physical assets or things that connect to your digital life in safes that are fireproof. You should have security cameras. You should go beyond just the basics and have your physical security and everything else covered as well. It's important to cover every aspect of security in your life so there is no single point of failure. Maybe this warrants its own episode and it's not really a part of this investing stuff, but it will affect your investing and your finances if you are too lax with security. So it all does kind of incorporate, but maybe I'll have to do a video in the future talking about contingency plans, having backups, all this kind of stuff, and actually going through the stuff I'm talking about. In terms of crypto cash, like I said, I've broken this out into its own section now. So I just have, what I spend on crypto cash as its own section here. Again, I will move Binance Coin. I don't know how I accidentally mixed that in there. Again, this is the Bitcoin and ETH breakup. This is my privacy crypto, just in XMR right now, but I'm looking into more. PivX is on my list. I have a lot to go through. I have like 20 different privacy coins to review. This was just my original kind of take. I use Cake Wallet myself. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you recommend for privacy coins? In terms of staking crypto, remove that there. It's what I earned was about $52. At today's current value, sadly, that's only $40, but it is what it is. On my next earnings, I'm sure I will earn significantly more. My Tron earnings month over month have been going up exponentially, so that's really good to see that continuing to grow, and my HBD has been continuing to grow. My high's been relatively the same, but that's also because I haven't really been adding into that. So the main things that I expect to be growing month over month the most are HBD and Tron. Now adding into the mix Atom, I will be reporting out my first earnings in January. And it's actually pretty substantial. I'm earning a good amount. It's very quick, very easy, and it's only a 7-day bonding unstake period. So this has been really good, and I will continue to focus on mainly Hive, Atom, and Tron. The rest are kind of just, floating around. The reality is, though, I'm going to be powering down the majority of my Blurt, and if ETH 2.0 pops off, I'll probably sell out the majority of my MTR as well. For speculative crypto, I've got my, as I said earlier, I sold off my Terra, my Luna for Rune, for Thorchain, which is great. And I've got my Matic. I will add BNB to this section and pull it out of the cash section as well, and that will be living here. That's pretty much everything, though. Let me know, what are you guys investing in? Like, what are you focused on? Where do you think we're going? Are we going to keep going down? Did we hit the bottom? Is it going to become bullish again? Do you think ETH 2.0 will launch in Q1? Will that have a massive impact on the crypto markets and how the prices are affected right now? What are you investing in? How are you earning crypto passive income? What dividends are you invested in? What's your strategy right now? How are you changing things up based on the Fed introducing higher interest rates? What are your thoughts on everything going on in the market? There's a lot going on. Basically 50% down from my all-time high in crypto. So, you know, there's a lot of craziness and volatility, but the important thing is to keep your diamond hands and, you know, I mean, not foolishly, but if you know where crypto is going and you believe in the use case and you believe in the technology, this is just a blip on the map. And when in doubt, zoom out. Simple as that. Anyways, let me know what you guys are doing. I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business. If you wanted to let me know that you watched to the very end, which I always do very appreciate, you can comment hashtag #1ham in the comments below, and that way I know you watched the whole thing. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.